Gopolang, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really, really excited that you could make time for me. Of course, we're having a virtual interview because you are not in South Africa. You've just relocated to Spain. I think that's quite exciting. Tell us how it's been so far. Are you settling in? Are you loving the place?
Well, so far so good. It's only been 3 weeks, I think. So it's an exciting journey, nerve-wracking as well, because it's a completely different culture, different continent. Although I've lived in the US before, I've never lived in Europe and worked in Europe. So it's going to be an exciting change. The weather has been crazy hot.
Is it?
Europe summer has been crazy hot, and I'm in. Yeah, even hotter than home, which is something that surprised me. So I've been trying to just manage the heat wave, but so far so good.
Awesome. And I hope you're learning some Spanish.
I'm trying. I'm trying. That is one thing that I definitely need to do. So an exciting developmental journey that will be, I'm sure, because I've never spoken Spanish in my life. I've studied French at school, but never Spanish. So it's going to be very exciting. At the moment, I'm getting along with Spanglish.
I'm sure it will do for now, eh?
It will do. It has to do.
Awesome. And tell us, the people there, are they as friendly as South Africans, or you always have to try and find your way with them?
I must admit, there are no people like Africans in general. I think, we have a warm spirit about us. It's innate in who we are. And maybe from our history, we are more welcoming and more understanding. Although the Spanish are not as cold as the French, they are slightly more friendly. And I'm in Malaga, which is the south of Spain, very close to Morocco. Literally, on a good day, you can see Morocco. So I think because of that, they're slightly warmer than most Europeans. And they've been exceptionally welcoming, helpful, although the language issue is a barrier, but we've been getting along well, and I'm enjoying it. I think I'm gonna love it here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The role that you obviously moved into now is a global role, which is very impressive. You sound like you're a global citizen. I mean, you lived in the States, you speak French, and now you're going to be learning Spanish, living in Spain. That's quite exciting. Tell us more about what exactly you'll be doing there in Spain as far as your role is concerned. I know you are a global marketing executive, looking at strategic projects. What exactly does that role entail?
Sure. So my role is global propositions, strategic propositions, which literally means that I'm responsible for helping structure solutions and articulating those solutions in a way that is impactful to our customers and what they want to achieve in their businesses. So really articulating the value proposition of what we bring as Vodafone Business to their business, and how that partnership can help them grow, and of course, help them increase their bottom line. And that means that I have to engage with a whole lot of stakeholders, because I take a little bit of everything from everywhere, build something that speaks to a customer challenge and a customer need. So it's a different role to what I've usually done in the past, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why I accepted this role, because it was going to be a new chapter for me, new challenge, new environment, but more importantly, helping the company really change from being a traditional telco into being what we call a TechCom, which is a technology and communications organization. And that's a journey that I definitely wanted to be a part of.
Yeah. Fantastic. I'm curious to know, given the language barrier and you have to be dealing with a lot of stakeholders and clients, how's that going to work?
Luckily, because it's a global company, I work for a global company, it's a global role. My stakeholders sit all over the globe. So South Africa, the US, as well as parts of Europe. So it's not that I'm speaking Spanish all day. And also the business language is English. So we still engage in English, which makes my life much, much easier. And of course, when we take these propositions to market, it's all in English and then translated locally in the regions that our clients are based.
Okay. I'm sure there's someone who's hoping they were in your shoes or could get an opportunity like the one you have. How did you get this opportunity to get a permanent role in Spain? It's not a secondment. It's you can be there forever if you want, right?
That's true. That's true. This is a permanent international move, as we call it, and I must admit it was unplanned, very unplanned. Yeah. But working for a global organization has always been something I pride myself in doing and always ensure that I do, because I believe working for global organizations gives you these type of opportunities, opportunities to grow, not just in the region or the country that you're in or the continent that you're in, but to grow further out into the world. And also it gives you access to so much intellectual property and expertise to leverage on and help you improve yourself in your chosen role. So how this opportunity came is, again, the company is transforming itself. Vodafone and Vodafone Business are transforming from a telco to a techco. And what that means is that we have to do things differently. I think the pandemic taught all of us that going digital is definitely the way to go. We were all forced to do business in a virtual world because of the pandemic and all the lockdowns. But now that we're slowly transforming and coming out of that into more of a hybrid model, how do we service our customers better to be able to deal with that environment for their employees, for their customers, their stakeholders, and investors. So the role came as we are morphing and trying to really ensure that we're starting to answer the challenges that our customers are sharing with us.
Yeah, fantastic. And did you have to do interviews, or they saw this star performer and said, I think you'll be good for this role?
I must admit, obviously, I had to do interviews. There are processes and procedures we have to follow. But they did approach me with this opportunity, and they said there's this team that's being formed in Malaga, which is also a brand new hub for us as Vodafone. So the office itself is about 6 months or 8 months old. Wow. And the company has invested a lot of money to make it more of an innovation hub. So they approached me and said, there's an opportunity coming up, new team, new office, real innovative stuff that we want to have happen there. You've been in South Africa, you've been in other technology companies in your past, because I've worked for larger multinational IT companies like Microsoft and Oracle and BCX, now that it's also, growing beyond the South African borders. And they said, this may be something that you would be interested in. And I said, of course, you never turn down an opportunity, whether you're ready for it or not. You never turn down an opportunity. You make sure that you just give it your best go. And that's why I'm here. I just thought, let's do it. Let me go for the conversations, because it's always a conversation, not an interview. We're interviewing each other, Exactly. So I went for the conversation, and it made sense to me and my career projection. So I was excited about it.
Awesome. You mentioned you take an opportunity whether you're ready or not. Did you feel you were ready for this, or this was one of those where you thought, I can't let this go, hey?
I was definitely not ready. I was very happy and comfortable in my role in South Africa. I was the executive head of the marketing department for Vodacom Business, which in itself had me, exposed me a lot to different stakeholders and customers, but also it was very fulfilling for me. But, as you grow, my plan was always to do more of a strategy role in my next role. So it came sooner than I expected it, because this is more of a strategy role. And when this opportunity came, I was like, I spoke to my boss, who's the chief executive of Vodacom Business, a wonderful mentor and person, Mr. William Mzimba, and I said, this is something that came my way. I'm thinking about it. And he's like, don't even think about it, go.
Wow.
So it's also encouraging when you have a manager who appreciates your growth and also wants to support it. So having spoken to colleagues, some of my fellow exco members, my manager, my family, and also just some introspection, I was like, just do it. What do you have to lose?
Yeah. That sounds exciting. I'm really, really happy for you. You mentioned before you moved for this role, you were the executive head of marketing for Vodacom Business.
That's correct.
And it's quite different from what you're doing now.
Well, yes, it's still linked in a way because what I'm doing now is still marketing the company's solutions. It's just that I'm starting them from a strategy level. Whereas my previous role encompassed a whole lot of things. And I think those who know the discipline of marketing knows that there's a lot of, streams in marketing. There was, under my responsibility, I had a team of 10 people looking after sponsorship, brand, product marketing, campaigns, analytics, so there was a lot going on anyway. And because you have such a big brand to carry, there's more responsibilities in a way, but it was an exciting role that I really enjoyed, and I think we showed a lot of business impact and contributed to the business, and that's why as a marketing team I feel we were very successful. So that's why I was still happy there doing great work. But like I said, this came by.
And most people, when they hear marketing, and I must admit, many years ago, I used to be one of them, would think advertising and adverts on TV and billboards. If you had to summarize what the discipline of marketing is really about, how would you put that to the layman?
I would say that marketing is the ability to be able to explain what a company does and how a company can add value to the respective customer in one sentence, and being able to touch that customer at all touch points, at every waking moment of their lives. That's what we do as marketing. And if you do that correctly, you'll be able to see the impact and the return that marketing can bring back to the company, because you will win a customer and hopefully retain that customer and grow that customer within the company or the brand. So that's what we do on a daily basis. That's a simple version of it, but that takes a lot of layers to do. Right? Advertising, you're right, is one of the things, but it's a portion of the things. So advertising is one of, I think it's because that's what you see in the cold face of the customer. As a customer, that's what people think it is. Or some people think it's events because that's how they experience it sometimes. But those are those touch points that we talk about. But the discipline of marketing speaks to strategy, understanding your market, understanding your segment, understanding your customer and their needs, understanding how to respond to that in a way that makes sense to them, not you. And also influencing the business to be able to build solutions or products that cater to that need. And that's what I'm doing now. And I think marketing is an accompaniment in a way to economics 101, right? It's supply and demand. But there's a demand, you want to supply something to fit that demand, but how do you make sure that product lands the way it's supposed to in the end customer's mind, at the right price? So that's the discipline of marketing. It's multi-layered, multifaceted, and that's why it also is so broad that different people can do different things, and that's what I enjoy about it. I mean, I studied IT, actually, information technology. Then I got a marketing degree, then MBA, because I just realized this. With marketing, I can be anything at any time, depending on what brand or company I'm working for.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I know one of the big debates when it comes to the marketing department is, they spend all the money. And does it always translate into more revenue and profits?
Well, that's something I'm very intentional about. And I feel has helped me become more successful in my career. Marketing is not going to be the people that give you the pens and the T-shirt. I did not go to school and have an MBA to do that. Okay. So for me, marketing needs to be a strategic partner to business, and you need to show what you're contributing to the business. And that's when you are stopped. You stop them seeing you as a cost center, as people who just blow money. Because the minute you can measure what it is that you do and show how that impacts the company or leads to some demand generation for the product or pipeline, and follow that funnel through and see how that marketing activity can lead to a closed opportunity for a company, that's when you win. That's when you get to, a seat at the exco table, because you're now contributing, or at least demonstrating and showing how your efforts are contributing to the company's bottom line.
Yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. You mentioned you studied IT and then you did a marketing degree. That's a complete pivot, eh?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
So, when you were young, you sit around the dinner table with your parents and you talk about, okay, you're now in standard 8, what are you going to study? Because you must choose your subjects now, those conversations. And I mean, my dad is an accountant, or was an accountant. He passed away, unfortunately, but was an accountant. And my mom was also a bookkeeper, and they owned their own businesses. So the entrepreneurs in retail. So they owned supermarkets and shops. And as far as my dad was concerned, we were either going to be doctors, or accountants. Those were the paths that we were supposed to follow. I have a younger sister, so the 2 girls were supposed to follow those paths. And to try and appease him in a way, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. What about this? And at the time that I matriculated, it was just that time where, information technology was just booming. That's all you heard about everywhere. So I was like, okay, Papa, what do you think of this? I think I'm onto something here. So at least, he was like, okay, that's fine. You can do that. My sister, though, I must, tell you, went the complete opposite route. She decided to study drama. So you can imagine how her conversation went. But anyway, that's how I got into that, because I genuinely am one of those people that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I actually didn't know what I wanted to study. So I studied IT. I was not happy, of course. And I was like, this, I'm not going to sit here and code and, be fixing program. I just couldn't do it. And all due respect to my fellow developers, engineers and all that, but their personalities are not the most bright, personalities.
They're bright in the mind, not
it's about the mind, right? But I was like, I can't sit here and be with these guys all day, every day of my life, you know? So I decided, let me try this marketing thing, because I feel like it's so complex and it's so diverse that it can give me an opportunity to learn and grow in many ways.
Okay. And you actually worked as an IT professional after?
No. I actually worked for an IT company as a salesperson. That's actually how I started my career.
Okay.
I started as a salesperson in an IT company, BCX to be specific.
Yes,
and I guess what I brought was the ability to sell, but also understand the technology that I'm selling. So I can speak to a, CIO, an IT manager, an IT decision maker, but also can translate the technology to a business decision maker. So I could speak both languages quite, fluently and fluidly. So it gave me a little bit of a niche, and that's why I've ended up working for mostly technology companies, because I found a niche for myself. I had the IT background. So I could understand this technology and the solutions, but yet be able to articulate them in layman's terms, as you said. And I think that's what created a really great niche for myself in this industry.
No, brilliant. Sounds like you've had quite an interesting journey. You mentioned earlier that you obviously were an EXCO member in your previous role, which speaks to, your leadership journey. You did an MBA. Most people do MBA as part of their leadership journey. I want to just talk a little bit about your leadership journey. Leadership on paper is different from leadership in real life. when you reflect in your own career around leadership, what are some of the key takeaways you would be able to share with someone as far as leadership is concerned?
Yeah, I must admit, I've had amazing leaders in my life. And I think that has helped shape the kind of leader that I am. I've had amazing female leaders as well, who have really molded my journey and my, my projection in my career, and have guided me and sponsored me and supported me through many of my roles and decisions. So I really want to acknowledge that the kind of leaders you experience and the kind of leader that you are really does have an impact on the people that you lead. So I'm very grateful for that, first of all. And I think because of that, I've been more of a compassionate leader, I feel, understanding that we're all here to do a job. Everybody wakes up every day wanting to do something impactful, wanting to feel like there's a reason for them to be here. And my goal has always been to give my team members enough opportunity to own what they do, so to have a bit of authority over what they do. And that's what I said to my team: it's your business. I have a budget that I'm responsible for. I'm going to give you each a budget that you're responsible to. You report to me, just like I have to go and report to my boss about my budget. So that accountability, I feel, gives people a sense of purpose. And it also gives them the freedom to say, okay, if this is my business and I know I have to pay back the banker, how am I going to make this work? And what I'm there for is to guide, support, and open doors and kill the noise so that they can be effective at what they have to do. So that's been the way I've approached, my journey as a leader. It's not always easy, and especially being a Black female, it hasn't always been easy. I felt sometimes that I've had to fight harder than most, but that has also taught me a lot. It has completely given me thicker skin. And of course, things like the MBA have also helped to boost my confidence in the boardrooms. Although I must admit, I don't know if I've used anything I've learned as yet, but, I definitely feel like maybe subconsciously I have, but I did recognize a sense of confidence, in the boardroom because of the experience I had with the MBA.
Talking about the boardroom and, developing thick skin as a leader, I think a huge part of leadership is about striking balance given context that you operate in. How have you managed to do that? You want to be able to project your ideas with confidence. You mentioned as a female leader, you have to fight harder than most other leaders. But at the same time, you don't want to come across as aggressive, but that balance is required. How did you manage to do that? What exactly did you do? How did you approach it?
I've always felt that as long as I can back my stuff up, back your peep up, be able to back it up with evidence. And that's important for me. And that's what I've taught my team. Always go forward based on facts. You have to have something to show or to support your decisions or your direction, or else then you do fall flat, right? It's your opinion, But for me, so definitely you must be able to back it up with facts, and facts and experience count. That's what I've learned. Facts and experience count, and also being able to bite my tongue. I don't have to fight every fight, know which battles to fight and which to just sit back and leave alone. Because if you're busy fighting every battle, you will be distracted with silly things. So I definitely don't major in the minors. I look for those things that are important, are incremental in the path that I'm trying to follow, and that will make big change or big impact. That's what I'm about, big impact. And that's what I feel has helped me balance the way I carry myself in the boardroom. I don't always have to be the loudest. It's unnecessary because I can always back up what I say when I do decide to say something. So that's been my approach to those tough conversations or those tough meetings or those, situations that, just speak when it's necessary. Fantastic. And I know some, people think because I'm a Black female, we need to be loud. We need to be, of course, you need to be confident. You don't need to be loud.
Yes.
And that's just what's worked for me personally. It may not work for the next person, but for me personally, that has worked.
Yeah. And you mentioned the MBA helped you build your confidence or strengthen your confidence. What other things have you done that helped, your confidence come to a state that it's at now?
I mean, definitely you're right. The MBA, and I think the MBA because, sometimes as a human being, you're going to doubt yourself in certain cases, but that comfort of the theory supporting some of the thinking, has helped me. And again, that's backing your stuff up, as I mentioned earlier. But other things that have really helped me, I believe, in my confidence is being very intentional about what I want to do and having a clear vision of what I want to achieve. It's not about you, the next person, the other person. It's about me and putting myself first. It may sound a little bit selfish, but I feel like if you know what you want to achieve, you make clearer decisions that are not influenced by many other factors that you should not be getting influenced by. So those kind of things have helped me be very clear about my path and what I want to achieve, when and how. And I am one of those people who I put goals down. I put what I want to achieve when and chart a path on how to get there. I may not always have the path clear and, it may not have street lights on either side and, bright and light, it may be a muddy path, but at least as I go, I will clear out the noise and find that straight path to where I need to find myself at.
That's really powerful. You spoke about having a clear vision. I think clarity is critical, right? It's difficult to move forward if you're not clear. How do you get to a space where you clarify what you're looking for, your thoughts, your goals? Is it that you bounce off ideas with people, or are you one of those that sits and thinks and then writes stuff down? How do you achieve clarity?
Well, first of all, I think a sense of self, so authenticity, being sincere to who you are and what it is that you are here to do and want to achieve. Definitely having that sense of purpose for me helps, and knowing what I want to represent in life. And secondly, I mean, having a higher power that I look to as that safe space to be silent with and in. And I do believe in consulting. I believe in collaboration. I know I don't know it all. That much I know. I don't know it all, or else we would not have all these people working in organizations. We all bring something different to the party. So I definitely believe in collaboration and consulting to reach a common goal. So that common goal is also very important. And the common goal does not always come from yourself. It comes from the leadership of the organization. If there's a clear vision and clear goals and strategy, you know where you're going as a team, as a leadership group. So that also helps. And like I said, I found myself lucky enough and blessed enough to work for leaders who were very clear about what they wanted to achieve. So my path and my role in that path was always very clear.
That's fantastic. Back to your MBA journey. What made you decide to do MBA? People have different reasons. What was your reason?
I'll be dead honest with you. My first reason was because I was bored. I was like, I need something to do with my time. Okay, I'm child-free, husband-free. What do I do with my time? And secondly, the MBA for me was starting to sound like a junior degree. It was sounded like everybody had an MBA, So I was like having a bit of FOMO. I think I was like, hey, I want an MBA now, So those were the two main drivers, to be honest. But again, leaning on those who have gone before me and my leaders, Mr. Mteto Nyati was one of my CEOs at Microsoft, and I remember having a conversation. He was very, welcoming and accommodative. I remember having a conversation with him saying, I really feel like I'm at that level where I need to go into that next step. I'm not sure what's going to get me to that next step. I know I need to go there now, but I don't know. I'm not sure how. I've been toying with the idea of an MBA. And he, really had some great advice for me because he had been mentoring a group, a syndicate group that was currently doing their MBA. Yeah. And he shared a lot of really, I feel impactful and important information from an outsider perspective, and how he, as a CEO, also sees people with MBAs.
Okay.
So that insight was really what was a catalyst to me making the decision.
Yeah.
And I just knew then that, okay, the MBA is that thing that I need to get to that next level.
And what did he say about how he sees people with MBAs?
No, he was saying that definitely at the time, I mean, it's been a while now, but, at the time he was saying that he definitely feels that they have more broad vision and a broad way of looking at things, which is important when you're in a business and you're running a business, or you want to run a business, or be in a leadership position. Yes. So he felt that was something that was very important, and him as a leader, that's something that he also looks for. Not just somebody who's just one-sided or just does not have that ability to look broader than them in the environment at that moment. Yeah. All right. That speaks to, again, that strategic view of things, looking at the future, the environment that you're operating in, and where you want to go. And he also mentioned that, of course, the MBA kind of badge does open more doors for you. Because in a way you are a generalist, right? You have your chosen profession, but you become a generalist, but knowing enough to be able to run an organization, and knowing in that way you also understand what it takes and the challenges that an organization or a CEO has. So you will know how to plug in the gaps, because you'll also be able to identify those gaps now. Yeah. So those were some, I mean, he said a lot of wonderful things that I can't remember now, but those are the things that I remember stuck with me. Yeah. And I'm, like I said, he was another amazing leader.
Yeah.
And still is. I shouldn't say was, and still is.
I was surprised to hear you say you don't think the MBA has benefited you that much.
No, it has. I mean, I meant in the sense that I can't remember some of the, the modules we had. I can't remember if I ever opened the textbook after the fact. I'm sure I use some of the knowledge, and I think that's it, the knowledge that you get from it, because as individuals, you'll take and pick up what you need for yourself from these experiences. I picked up and took certain things from the MBA. Yeah. And that's obviously what I was lacking in, and that's what it fulfilled, which worked for me. You probably took out something different from your experience, So I've realized that, and that was also a lesson for me during the MBA, that I was very clear. I'm here to do something. I'm here to pick up what I need and move on. I don't have to be perfect at everything.
Yes.
I decided that very early on in the MBA. I'm like, I don't have to ace everything here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here for certain things that I want to ace, and those are the ones I'm going to work extra hard at. The others is really, I just want to get through it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I was happy during my MBA. People were stressed out, unhappy, angry with life. I was just like, listen, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
That's it. Let me move on,
Interesting. One thing I found is, although people may have different reasons for doing an MBA, in the main, people want to use it to progress in their career.
Completely agree.
But once you finish MBA, it's not always obvious how that translates into, career progression. People sit with MBAs 5 years after they've done it, but professionally, they may still feel stuck. What is that missing piece? Why does that happen? How do people unlock themselves from that stagnation point, if I can call it?
Well, I can just share what my experience is, Jabu. And for me, it's what I mentioned earlier. Be intentional about what you're doing. Don't do the MBA for the sake of doing an MBA.
Yeah.
And also be intentional about your life and your path and the reasons why you're doing certain things and where you are. As I mentioned, after I realized that, okay, there's something here. I have something different here. Yeah. IT marketing.
Yeah.
I didn't apply for any other job except for multinational IT multinationals. Wow. I've got offered many roles by many big industry players in banking, in retail, but that's not what I want to do. I've decided this is the niche and this is the path that I'm following. And all I'm going to do is to be the best in this field, in this path. So I feel like the MBA is amazing. But again, like if you don't have a bigger view, a bigger purpose, a bigger vision for yourself, it will just be one of those things you're carrying with you.
Yes.
And I know, yes, there's other factors that play into this, there are other societal factors and economic factors that play into some of these things where people don't find work. But I always say, really be focused and intentional about what you're doing in your life. Ensure that you're surrounding yourself with people who can help impart knowledge on you, and you vice versa, so that it's just not a one-way thing. And also read about those that you admire and see how they got to where they are. And it may not also be people who have gone far before you. It may be people around you. And sometimes it's just the coffee and say, dude, I think you're doing amazing in this, or you did this so well. How did you do it? Yeah. And take what you need from that.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful. Once you've identified that niche, like you've done, and you move to your multinational, you still want to progress within that space. For most people, it's upward, and you've done that. What's the secret?
And that's the thing. It doesn't always have to be upward, by the way. It can be lateral. Right? Because for me, it's about the knowledge you're picking up along the way and how you're equipping yourself and and differentiating yourself in the eyes of the employer or future employers.
Yes.
And that's my thing. So for me, I always say to people that, and it's just a joke I say, but it's true. There's some truth to it. You can call me what you want, just pay me. So because I'm like, it doesn't matter what the title is called.
Yes. Yeah.
But in the long run, are you improving? Are you growing? Are you developing?
Yeah.
So this thing that you only find a job when you're in a job.
Yeah.
So don't be shy to take on lateral moves. There's nothing wrong with that. That's still a progression. That's still you growing. It may not be growing in terms of title or the hierarchy of some organogram of some company, but it's still growth. But to answer your question, for me, I think, like I said, I have a very clear path. My plan was always work for multinationals because eventually I did want to work somewhere else around the world.
Yes.
I've had great experiences and I feel like I've learned all that I could learn at that time in the continent, because I used to have roles that helped me look after the continent. So I've had enough working experiences and learned certain things working in Africa. Now I wanted an experience that was going to give me a more global experience. And I'm just conquering Europe, right? And who knows, maybe the next time it will be something else. It will be EMEA or something. I don't know, So that's just how I've planned this path of mine. And what I do is to try and get me closer and closer to those kind of goals that I've put for myself.
Yeah. Fantastic. You are very clear on issues. What does one do to prepare for an executive role? Because once you get to that level, a different skill set is required, different way of thinking, looking at things is required. What are the things that one can do to prepare for that level?
I think, like I said, most importantly, mentors or sponsors.
Yeah.
get yourself in the right circles. I've been lucky enough that the people who have managed me have seen something that I didn't even see at times. I mean, yeah, there's there've been leaders who are like, no, Gopolang, you can kill this thing, you can do more, you can do this. And I was like, really? But then also be ready to just take a leap of faith. What's the worst that can happen? You can fail and say, you know what, I messed up, but I learned this, and move on.
Yeah.
I think we are always so paralyzed by the fear of new things that we never take risks, And just yesterday I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about a quote that says, be fearless about pursuing the things that set your soul on fire.
Wow.
And for me, that just said, something that excites me, makes me anxious, makes me nervous, makes me grow, makes me feel like I'm being fulfilled. That's what I'm supposed to be fearless about pursuing.
Yes.
So if you don't have those feels, just let it go and find something else, So that's what's always projected me to go forward further, because it's either scared me, it's either challenged me, it's either excited me, or it's been somebody saying, you can do it. So that combination for me has worked. And of course, you have to be prepared to put in the work.
Yeah.
You have to be prepared to put in the work, and again, back your stuff up, with experience, execution, proof points of what it is that you can do to showcase your skills and experience and expertise.
Wow. You're throwing some nuggets here. I'm loving this. Fantastic. Let's go back to growing up. You went to Pretoria Girls High, eh?
Yes, I've only studied at girls' schools. So I went to DSG. Yes, DSG. I was in primary at DSG in Pretoria.
Okay.
It's a Hammanskraal, so I'm a town girl.
Okay.
So I studied in Pretoria, went to girls' schools. Again, like I said, there are just two of us, two girls.
Yeah.
I went to Pretoria Girls High, matriculated at Pretoria Girls High. Then that's when, after that, I was confused about what to study. Then, luckily with the avenues and the opportunities that some of these schools have, you get an opportunity to travel abroad and do different things. And then that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to study overseas. And my father was my biggest cheerleader. With that. So, my mom was like, stay home, where are you going? Kind of thing. But my dad was like, listen, we've never had opportunities like this when we were your age. If an opportunity comes, take it. And I think that's where that mindset has come from as well, that you don't let an opportunity pass. For just in J, you must be ready to grab any opportunity that you feel will help you move to that next level, or again, set your soul on fire. So that's where I went to school.
And how was it like being in a only girls school?
Well, I don't know. That's the only experience I have. We had the best time.
Post high school, you obviously went to varsity. I hope not a girls high.
No shade to co-ed schools, but I feel like we didn't get so excited about boys, really, because you're like, with or without them, I'm fine, So that's been my experience, because you see people like, then you're like, I'm
calm down.
Calm down. You can do this by yourself. So I must admit, it was a lovely experience. I went, and from primary school, DSG has a slogan that says, "Your daughters of the king." So you really carry this air about you that you are a daughter of the king. You have to carry yourself in a certain manner. You have to want for certain things. And I'm glad I had that upbringing, because I think, and I know the sacrifices my parents had to make for us to go to such schools. And I'm eternally grateful for the sacrifices that they had to make. And that's another reason why I keep on pushing, because I feel like I just can't let them down.
Yeah. Well, you are doing exceptionally well so far, so I'm sure they are very proud.
Thank you.
Awesome. I want to draw to a close. But I like asking this question. So when you look back in your upbringing, there are usually those imprints from early on that just go all the way to your adulthood, in setting you up for success. What would you say are some of those early imprints that have helped you get to where you are?
My parents and their work ethic. They worked very hard, and I could see it. I could feel it. So definitely my parents and their work ethic and the work ethic they instilled in us, and my sister and myself. We worked for them on holidays, and if you didn't work, you didn't get paid, and you didn't get what you wanted. Wow. So it was just that simple. I'll share something personal with you in the last few minutes, but I never forget this. My dad took us on a drive, said, "Come, let's go for a drive." Took us on a drive one day, went to show us basically the neighborhood and certain things that he, like he owned the stores. Was my grandmom's, my mom's farm, whatever, those kind of things. And we're like, oh, wow, wow. And he's like, and let me tell you one thing, none of these things are yours. And none of these things are going to be yours. You will start from scratch with what you want. Wow. So I want you to see them, but know they're not yours. And that thing stuck in my mind because I was like, this man is dead serious. He's not leaving us anything, because, and my sister and I remember having a conversation after that drive saying, you know what, Sisi, a sister, we call each other sister, you know what, sister, we have to work hard because this man is serious. We have to work hard. And that conversation has stuck with me. And I'm glad because I've always known I have to work hard. For what I want, I have to work hard. So that's definitely one thing that has stuck with me and kind of groomed me for where I am today. And again, do everything with a purpose and with intention. And I think that's also what my faith speaks to, that there's a reason you're here as a human being. The trick is to find out what that is, and then do the things that help you fulfill that. Or at least feel that you're closer to fulfilling that. Those are the two guiding principles, that I think have helped me and held me in good state in my life.
Yeah, I love that story. It seems like it's definitely worked. Here you are, still pushing.
Listen, we were scared, and it worked. And I'm gonna use, when I have children, I'm using it. I'm doing exactly that.
No, fantastic. Gopolang, anything you want to share with us, that you believe is worth knowing, will help someone just be able to move forward in their pursuits?
I think for me, it's, we're human beings. We're flawed in many ways, and fear is a real emotion. I think it's how you use the fear as fuel rather than something that will paralyze you. And just being open like that to experiences, to opportunities, to conversations, to mentors, to friends, to colleagues. That is something that I feel will hold you in good stead, because just being open means that you can attract so much more.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. My last question to you is, what is your next big chapter? Guess you've just started one now.
I was about to say I've just started one now. But I'll share with you, because this is something I've always wanted to do, is I want to do my private pilot license. I actually started when I was in South Africa, but it got disturbed by me moving here, obviously.
Yes.
But I feel like if I can do that, I would have done one of the big tick.
Yes.
In the things that I want to do. I really want to do that, because I wanted to be a pilot at some stage in my life, but again, my mother was like, "You're crazy. You're going to fly in the sky," So I never did that. But that's something I really want to gift myself. Is doing that private pilot license. And also, again, being open. I've always said to friends that my next big move is getting that beach house. But I don't have the beach house, but at least I live by the coast now.
Oh, brilliant.
So I'm close. I'm close.
Absolutely.
No, beautiful. All the best with that license. Hopefully one day I can take a trip with you on the pilot seat.
I would love the lesson. I'm taking all of you guys for a spin.
Awesome. Gopolang, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking your time. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm sure many who are watching will also enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.